Hello boys and girls, today we're going to do some sidewalk chalk graffiti. I'm showing you an example of what I did on one of our brown paper bag projects that we had done in the past. It looks pretty cool, but now we're going to be trying to find some white paper around our house. I have photocopy paper or the printer paper at my house, so I grabbed one of those, and then you can see that the colors are a lot brighter on this one. Well, let's get started about our subject. Graffiti is created when an artist writes or draws on walls or other surfaces in a public place. Artists have been creating graffiti for many years, and it dates all the way back to the cave art. Early man used to use the walls of mountainsides and inside caves to do their art because they couldn't find that printer paper around their house because it hadn't been invented yet. So in this video clip, I'm going to go ahead and put some slides in there showing the artwork from the cave artist. And the last one that I show is going to be the one from the caves that 4 young kids found when they were playing in the hills of France. They went and they were playing around investigating, and they found this beautiful cave, and they ran home and they told their parents. And now it is one of the most famous artworks in nature. So let's get back to graffiti. Graffiti is against the law in many areas because the surface that graffiti artists use usually don't belong to them. Many graffiti artists like Bansky use stencils to create that art. Stencils make it easy to recreate the same shape or image over and over again. Sidewalk chalk is like graffiti, but it's washable, so it's not against the law. How many of you have seen writings on outside walls, maybe some trains or even some bridges, and it's a really beautiful spray painted art on these public places? Well, today's art is going to represent this form of art, but we're just going to use that sidewalk chalk. First, we're going to practice together by using sidewalk chalk on paper. Here is my website, galvanart.weebly.com. If you want to find other fun lessons, you can go to here. You won't be able to find it in the search bar of Google or Internet Explorer, but you'll be able to find it if you just type that right into the address bar, and it'll go right to the website. Let's get started on our sidewalk chalk graffiti project. You're going to want to gather the following supplies. You're going to want to have some glue, tape. It can be masking tape or this clear transparent tape. You're going to want to have crayons. You're going to need a white or a light color, a mid-color, gray, and then black. I chose to have a jumbo black, and then I have a thin black as well. You're going to want to have a cup of water, some sponges. These are stamping sponges, but you can use any sponge that will work. You're going to want to have some colored pieces of paper. This is the Post-it notes that we have. You can just use any colored paper that you have around the house. That'll work. Textured pieces. I have some window screening here that was left over from a project. And so I took and I taped the corners because it can be kind of pokey on the edges. And then I have this cardboard that I took from my sidewalk chalk. And all I did was strip away that first layer of cardboard so it can have that ribbed on there. That's going to be a really nice texture. You're going to want another kind of cardboard. This is from a Little Debbie's box. You could also do it from a cereal box. That's nice cardboard to use. And this is what we're going to use to make our stencil. And then, of course, our sidewalk chalk. Now, this is just a box of sidewalk chalk that you can get from a grocery store or a department store, like Walmart, that kind of a thing. And then paper. Today we're going to use paper to practice our sidewalk truck, and then later on we're going to go out and actually work on a sidewalk or a driveway. So to start, I want to make my paper, I'm using this copy paper. I'm just going to fold it horizontally. This is the landscape fold. And I would like to go ahead and cut it in half. Oh, I have to find my scissors. Go ahead and cut your paper in half on the landscape fold or the horizontal fold. Now it's in the shape of a sidewalk. Now let's talk about texture. What is texture and its purpose in art? That's a thought question. So I'm going to let you think about it for a moment. Now I'm going to give you the answer of texture in art. Texture in art is the feel, appearance, or consistency of a surface or a substance. The lesson that we're doing today is showing the appearance of sidewalk. We will be making the texture during this part of our lesson so that we can mimic or make it appear as if it's a sidewalk. So our sidewalk is going to have the texture used with this cardboard and possibly with this window screening. What I would like for you to do is put your texture underneath your paper, and you're going to take the side of a crayon. Now we want to use the side because it's going to have the longest part and it's going to give you the widest area. Plus it helps make the texture nice and even. So we're going to go ahead and take our crayon and go along the rough texture. You see that the texture is being embedded in our paper. I really like this texture because it shows the bumpiness that a sidewalk would do. So I move my paper so I can get the whole paper. And I can even turn my paper to get the rest of the paper as well. So that's using the window screen. If I wanted to use this cardboard piece, I could do the same thing. Put my paper on top and then just run it across that paper. And it picks up that really cool cardboard diagonal, or not diagonal, but the horizontal of the cardboard. I really like this paper too. As you can see, I'm moving my paper so that it gets the same length of this. You can do it any direction you want. We just want to show texture on our paper. All right, we have two separate pieces of paper. Look at that, boys and girls. Now I can make two different pieces of artwork. That's going to be really fun. All right, let's get this other piece started. Now, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to make stencils. And you might be saying, well, what is a stencil? That's another one of those thought questions. What is a stencil? So I'm going to let you think about it for a minute. What is a stencil? Some of you know, I know you do, because you're really, you've used them before. So here's the answer. A stencil is a thin sheet of cardboard, plastic, or metal with a pattern or letters cut out of it. It's used to produce the cut design on a surface by applying chalk through the hole. So we're going to go ahead and make a stencil right now. Now, what I'd like for you to do is, if you have a long piece of cardboard, like I do, I'd like for you to just cut 3 pieces out of that long piece of cardboard. Now I can make 3 stencils. We're going to use the basic shape of geometry. I know you all know how to make a circle. Make a nice circle. You're going to want to make it big, almost larger than a quarter. Sometimes maybe one of your grandma or grandpas have a silver dollar or a 50-cent piece, and that's pretty much the size of it. If you have never seen a 50-cent piece, please ask your parents to show you one because it's bigger than a quarter. The next shape I would like to make is going to be the triangle. And again, you're going to want to make that shape nice and big, the size of a quarter or a 50-cent piece, but only it's the shape of a triangle. And then I think the last shape I want to make is a heart. So I'm going to go ahead and make the heart. Now you can make this any size you want. I'm just going to try to make it that same shape. We're going to need to cut the inside of this heart out. Now, some of you are saying, well, all you have to do is fold the paper and split it in the middle, then you can make your way around the whole thing. Well, I have an easier way. You're gonna cut into the shape. Cut all the way around. There's my shape, it's cut out. And you're gonna take your tape, you might have masking tape or clear tape, transparent tape, magic tape. This is called magic tape. And you're just gonna tape that cut closed. So now we have a shape with a hole. I'm gonna do it with this one as well. I'm gonna tape the hole shut. My final one is gonna be my circle. And this definitely makes it a lot easier to cut open that shape. Take my tape and put it closed. Now, I have 3 stencils. See, the answer was to a stencil. It's a thin piece of cardboard with a cut design out of it. And then we're going to use this to make our shapes on our sidewalk. Now, let's get our artwork back in place. Remember, we've made 2, so if you can pick the best design that you like. I like this one the best, and we're going to fold it in thirds. So the best way to fold it in thirds is to fold one side in. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this piece of your edge comes in and it looks like it's halfway of what is left. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, and we'll fold this side in. See, I didn't quite make it perfect, but we just need to have three spots. 1, 2, 3. So I suppose you wouldn't have to be perfect. You could go halfway like on this side and then go ahead and fold your piece in on that side. And we have 3 spaces. They're just not all even. One's a little bit smaller and these 2 are equal. So now you have a fold line on your paper. You're going to take your black crayon and you're going to put a black line on that fold line. Now, why do we put a black line on our folds? Because now it looks like a little mini sidewalk. When they pour cement to make sidewalks, they pour them in squares. So when you go outside and you look at your sidewalk, and we're going to do that in a little bit, we're going to see that each square is poured separately, and then the concrete sets up like it's kind of like how Jello gets nice and stiff, and they have small sections, and they make several in a row to make a sidewalk. So there we have our sidewalk. Now, we're going to take our stencil. I'm going to start with a heart. And I'd like for you to make a stencil shape by, now this is where the water comes in. You're going to take your chalk. You're going to dip that chalk, just the tip, in water. And now the chalk kind of acts like paint. This is my favorite part. We'll fill that in almost like a watercolor paint. Look how easy that just fills right in. And if you need to, you can take your your sponge, and you can sponge it. Now I have enough on my sponge, and now I can come over here and I can put that in here too. It's a little bit lighter, and I like that. That's a value. It is a value of my first color, meaning it is a lighter shade of my first color. So there's my heart. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose my circle. I'm going to dip my sidewalk chalk in my water, and now I'm going to add some chalk. Just love the way this chalk feels once it gets wet. And again, I can take a sponge and use this. Bring it over here. Oh, maybe I want to just put it off the page. See how that sponge just picks that chalk up? Now I just have a little value, a lighter shade of my first color. And then my last shape, seeing that I've picked the warm colors, I think I want to pick a color that is on the cool side. And I'm going to do a little overlap. I'm going to do an overlap of my sidewalk line, and I'm going to do an overlap into my circle. Oh, boys and girls, I can't wait for you to use these chalks this way, because it's so cool the way they just turn into paint right on the paper. You take my sponge, I'm going to dip my sponge in, and I'm going to stamp. And now I'm going to come over here and make a smaller, let's see, where do we need to have it? Oh, I think I'm going to just stick it right in here. Oh, look at that. Isn't that nice, the way that just comes out? All right, so we've used our stencils, we've used our chalk. Now, on our picture, we want to show where we might have some chalk left behind. So that's where our pieces of paper will come in. And chalk, you can see my chalk is kind of fat and it has a little angle to it. So I'll take a piece of my paper and I'm going to cut a strip. And not only am I going to cut my strip, but I'm going to cut it off at an angle because my chalk has been used like that. So I can have one on this side and I can have one on that side. I'm going to go ahead and gather my papers. I'm going to make my pieces of chalk. Nice fat pieces of chalk. This one, they can just be straight. Put that one right there. Maybe come off to the side there. And I'm going to make one more. That would be nice. Now you don't have to have two of each. We could take one of these off and then just maybe put a big one here. Oh, I kind of like that. Put a big one coming across there like that. Okay. All right. Now we have our pieces of chalk paper that's going to look like chalk. And now we're going to put some highlights and some shadows on them so that they look three-dimensional. So when you do a highlight, you use a lighter color. So my lighter color is going to be white. And on the edge, one edge, I'm going to put white. I'm going to color it in as dark as I can. And then on the other side, I'm going to put black. And that is the shadow. And then in between where you see the color, it's called the mid-tone. So that's the middle. So we have the highlight, the mid-tone, and the shadow. So you're going to want to do that to all of your papers. Last one. So glad you guys are with me today, working hard on your art, being creative and artistic, making expressions. So now you're going to take your glue, your white glue, or if you have a glue stick, that works as well. Going to put a little dab will do ya. We decided that the yellow one was going to be here. Put the yellow one there. And the pink on that side. Now, you're going to want to make sure that all of them are, when you glue your pieces on, that they all have the black and on the same side. So you don't want to mix it. You don't want to go like that, because the shadows, if the sun were hitting it right here, the shadows would all be that way. So you don't want to mix up your shadows, because your light source tells you where the shadows are, and there's usually only one light source when you're outside, which is the sun. All right, here is our artwork. Now, I have another question for you. Well, what is a highlight? Well, I guess I have two questions for you. What is a highlight and shadow in art and its purpose? So you notice we put a highlight and a shadow in our art. And you remember the purpose is you are showing that these pieces of chalk are three-dimensional, and that we have the outside source, which is the sun, the light of the sun, is showing that there is a shadow. And now my final question is, why is graffiti against the law? Why is graffiti against the law if it is art? Well, if you remember at the beginning of our lesson, I said graffiti is writing or drawing made on a wall or other surface, usually as a form of artistic expression and without the permission of the property owner and in the public view. So graffiti is against the law when it defaces or damages that other person's property and you didn't get permission. We're going to be using sidewalk chalk. Chalk gets cleaned away with just plain old water. And we don't have to worry about damaging somebody's property or sidewalk because when it rains, the rain melts the chalk away. So it's not against the law to do sidewalk chalk on the public sidewalks. Hello, boys and girls. This is the last part of our art project today. It's beautiful outside. You're going to take your art to the streets. We're going to do sidewalk chalk. So I just wanted to let you notice that the sidewalks have these little lines, just like the paper art that we did. I have my stencils that I made with our other art. I'm going to use them on the sidewalk. Remember, we take our sidewalk chalk, dip it in the water. Go ahead and color in your stencils. And you'll be making your art right here on the sidewalk. Now you don't have to do your stencils, but I just wanted to show you that you can make even more stencils using your newfound art skills. And by dipping your chalk in the water, you can color it in, or you can write your name. I'm going to write Alvin's name. You can take your sponges and use it, dip into your thing, and then just kind of make it nice and blotty. There you are, boys and girls. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine. Peace out. I love you.